Hi everyone, welcome back to Barcast TV and to another episode. Today we're going to be taking a look at co-oping Banishers with your teammates. So we're sitting here playing on Hades Pond, teamed up with our man Zowdy over here, Zao, or Spotter friend as he's currently called, rename meta super strong as always. So as the video title suggests, we're going to be kind of examining how to go about co-oping with a teammate to get your T2 lab out, and of course leverage those powerful T2 units. I think this will be a series of videos. The first one, of course, will just be on that like T2 all-in, so to speak. So really not looking to gain an eco advantage going for the quick T2 lab, but more or less leveraging those really powerful units to kind of overwhelm your lane. Now, of course, this might not be the absolute best video, but the concept, the best opponents to demonstrate this, but of course, let me leave this. Sorry, we got like two things going on right now. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, so let's get into it. So what we're going to end up seeing is a 4-max open from our man Zowdy over here, which isn't too unorthodox, and I'm just going to be going for like this 3-max bot lab open. Now, the name of the game is basically to stabilize your lane, and then we'll make the transition. So I'll go ahead and show like the couple of pieces that go into performing this successfully, and maybe you can utilize it in your own game. So pretty standard open, I'd say. Look, going up to 5 wins before lab here from our man Zhao. Kind of doing a very similar open, just 3-max con first. Nothing out of the ordinary. And as we said, like you really want to stabilize your lane, which is pretty common in 8v8s rather. You know, it's like we've all seen this before. You make some initial expanding cons, you bring your commander to the front line, and then you'll see we'll make the transition here. So nothing out of the ordinary. Actually, pretty impressed by how Zhao played this even. He even made like the forward 2-2 lab over here, which is something else you want to do. I'm sure a lot of you have seen those Conquer videos where he talks about the strength of having the proxy lab and basically how that reduces the time those really expensive units spend traveling to the front to get their value, right? You don't want to have these very expensive slow moving units traversing from your starting main all the way to the front line where they're valuable, as opposed to just starting your lab right here, and then they have a much shorter walking distance. So let me slow this down just a little bit, you know, some general rating getting through, nothing too crazy. You know, trying to get a little bit of harassment with grunts, and then we see, okay, rocket bot production. I don't want to go too far into this, you know. I got the rocket bot, I got the Laz coming out to end up reclaiming the lab. A couple of thugs to help, you know, gun down some units, protect these kind of lesser, not as good at skirmishing units. See Spotterfiend friend. This is actually pretty interesting. He's going for a really quick AGO, or excuse me, A solar before moving his commander out, going into this storage as well. Really just expanding with this single con out to the front. And he should be transitioning here fairly quickly. So he's going for a pounder first, literally like no units. So this could have gone a little bit worse, maybe. I don't want to disparage our, you know, two opponents here, Pyrothraxis and Ketpain. Of course, they're not the highest rated team members, but you know, you can use this in your own games, I'm sure, to similar success. So, right, we see he's going to make, what is this? The pounder, a couple of missile trucks, a couple of arty, and look, he's already working on these forward con turrets, which once again is something we've all seen in those Conquer videos on how to go about doing the proxy lab in front of your main. I'm still up in the front line here. I've got my rocket bots up front. I've got my commander making this forward LOT, trying to cap mexes. I've got my own con turret in the back here. This was just to kind of stabilize, get that repair up, you know, if I need it. And we're still skirmishing, right? I think there one caveat to this is I ended up reclaiming my lab a little bit too early and sending him this medal. We see Zhao is still kind of producing units. He hasn't reclaimed his own lab. He's even still scaling back here. But here's what you end up doing, right? We just get like those as few units as you need to kind of stabilize at the front, skirmish, appear to be putting pressure on. And that's the real, I think, what am I trying to say? It's like you're showing one thing and then doing something else behind, right? So if you're able to deny scouting, if you're able to show like standard play, you're going to be putting your opponents in the dark. Maybe you might be thinking twice, like, oh, I haven't seen any units from Zhao. He just has like a pounder and a whistler up front. So that might be a little bit of a tell. So some things to kind of look out for if you want to realize what's happening a little bit sooner on your own play. You know, I guess the obvious counter to this is to just make your own T2. D-gun? Yeah, look at that. D-gunning my own rocket bots. Classic. And look at this. Okay, so 5 minutes, 42 seconds, right? We're reclaiming the vehicle lab. We should be putting the forward T2 lab up here just in a few moments. And I'm already feeding my man Zhao. So like I've given him all my metal from the reclaim lab. Actually, you can see right here, I sent him a bunch of energy as well. I noticed he was low on energy, and like, of course, I already have my own e-storage and a little bit of light wind scaling. I think that's this idle con should be making like a slight wind farm in this area right here. We'll see that in just a moment. Of course, this Lazarus could also be reclaiming these crystals. I'm up at the front here, just trying to, you know, do the thing, right? Skirmish, get the rocket bots firing, get the commander involved, right? Can take a look for the player view from here. Still around 6 minutes, right? Both labs have been reclaimed. And here we go. T2 lab up, 6 minutes and 5 seconds. So a little bit of a benchmark for y'all to use in your own games. Now you might ask yourself, Barcast, or not, but yourself, you might ask me, Barcast, what do we end up producing out of this, right? Do we go for a con first? No, the answer is no. We're going to be going for a Czar first. So you might see Zhao actually make the radar bot and the jammer first. That's something I like to do in my own games. I'm actually not sure what he does out of here, but yeah, continuing to send the metal I'm refining to our man Zhao along with the energy. We can take a look here. I'm always looking at this to see like where he's at on metal and energy to, you know, share those resources to my teammate who's trying to perform this co-op. I think he actually ends up getting a little bit of metal from Victor or beyond as well. And yeah, we're still just skirmishing up at the front, right? So just posturing with the commander or trying to get our rocket bots firing. Zhao's doing the same thing, right? He's repairing with his units. He's trying to get those arty shots off. He's got the single pounder doing work. His commander ends up going down pretty soon here. I'm not, no, he ends up backing it up. Okay. And still sending metal, right? Victor sent 900 metal. Governor sent a little bit of metal. And yeah, here we go. So Czar, Obscurer, Omen, and then the T2 Con. And we should end up even getting into Banishers after this. So this is even like an even nicer thing, right? You want to be, if you can kill a commander, you just, of course, want to put that metal right into units. Let's say the first Zhao is out. Czar. The first Czar is out. 7 minutes and 45 seconds. Still sending energy, right? Because these T2 units are very expensive on energy. 22,000 for this Czar. See, Zhao is still trying to expand his energy. He's got these 2 cons scaling in the back. Sending more metal, more energy. Pretty much everything I'm getting. Even securing this wreck. It's not about like immediately grabbing the metal. I'm just going to try and push this orange player off of the lane. I think he actually D-guns this. Or excuse me, self-Ds. Yeah, that's what ended up happening. So just going to quickly gobble up some of this metal. Still send it back to our teammate here. And there we go. Now, the follow-up to this can be kind of important as well, and just leaning more on the fact of like cooperation and teamwork, right? Zhao's very strong at micro, so I'm like, hey, you know, I can micro these 2 units at the front. I still have a little bit of an army and my commander up front. I think I actually bring this Resbot up to repair in a second here. And that's just going to free up his APM to continue macroing, right? So what are units are coming out of here? We have the T2 Con coming up, and we should see like maybe like an anti-air if you're like kind of feeling vulnerable from your own air player. There we go. So what is this? 8 minutes, 40 seconds. Zhao's shown up at the front line. Still hasn't shot a fire off. Sorry, gotten a shot off yet, but we're just trying to get it into position here. Very quick. Taking a look back at this T2 lab. Really yeah, just an extra omen. I think at this point I was feeling confident enough to get my own bot lab back up, and I'm just going to be using this to get spam, res bots, and anti-air bots to the front line here. So kind of leaning more on the fact of having this forward con. I did miss when these extra con turrets went up, but of course you want to be increasing your build power as your energy increases, energy and metal income. More D-guns coming out. Trying to move. This is almost a bit of a blunder here. I think the one thing you don't want to have happen, obviously, is the commander dying right next to your powerful T2 unit. So you want to keep this separated. A lot of times you can actually like use the commander to kind of in front of the army to spot for other commanders. So you end up getting D-gunned. That's the one vulnerability to this build as well, is like you don't want to get your Czars D-gunned. That's like worst case scenario, of course. Let's take a look back and see what's producing out of here. Yeah, so it was what? Czar, jammer, radar, an extra radar bot, and then 2 cons, right? I think this second con is going to be coming my way to start upgrading these mexes. See, I'm adding a little bit of anti-air in my base after spotting those bombers. And still, yeah, more metal being sent to Zhao as well. He's calling for some metal here. You should see me send him a little bit of metal on my way. Working on getting these forward radars, also very important. I like to, you know, just add like a radar and an anti-air, a little sprinkling as I'm going forward. And just leveraging the power of the Tsar, right? You just want to like get it in range of enemy commanders. You want to get it in range of units. And then something like very akin to naval battles is you want it to be like facing away in a sense. So you can start kiting if you need to. You don't want to be like facing this way, suddenly realize you need a kite, and then you have that slow turn to back away. So you always want to have it kind of facing away, and then the turret facing where you want to be shooting, and then even kind of like dancing back and forth like this, right? Closing in by, I think that's a sailing term where you end up moving like this. But yeah, you really want to be keeping an eye out for those commanders in your opposing lane and making sure they don't get in range of the Tsar to D-gun. So looks like, oh, I actually missed this from the game. I didn't realize Zhao sent this second Tsar to another lane, which is also very powerful, of course. They're super slow moving, so if you can get this heavy transport, you can move those into your allied lanes as well. And the feeding doesn't stop, right? I mean, we have like a T2 economy working up, and we're still kind of floating metal, so I should be keeping an eye on this bar right here, seeing where Zhao is at. Oh, he needs energy. Oh, he needs metal. And then you can continue feeding that by sharing your resources, right? And now this is like an overwhelming advantage, right? You've broken through the lane. I didn't really see a need to come and break this any further. So I was like, all right, I'm going to just focus on moving up and pressuring this lane here as well. And now the next iteration, of course, is the super powerful Banisher being shared. So those are going to be heading my way. Just an even better unit than the Tsar in a lot of ways. It's, you know, it's been buffed recently. It's got that 360-degree arc it can fire from, and it's even easier to kite as well. So we can finish out this video. It doesn't take too much longer. You can take a look at this build queue right on this T1 lab I've got. I don't think I can. Well, it was like, it's like 10 grunts, 3 res bots, 1 anti-air bot. So, and then these res bots are just going to be, of course, resing, gobbling up those commander wrecks. I found another commander, so we're just target that with the Tsar. Keep moving forward, right? You can be a little more aggressive with your forward movements once you've killed the commanders, like locking down an area, so you don't, you know, you have no fear of the D-gun. T2 con still upgrading. And we just have like 5 Banishers came out. Another T2 con. I'm assuming this gets shared with another teammate, but yeah, just a really powerful open. And we can pause it here and just, you know, kind of enumerate the steps. Like, what is it? Play normal, right? Get your units to the front, kind of posture like you're playing in a lane. And then what did we see? Like that T2 lab went down around 6 minutes. So I think I was a little bit too early reclaiming my own lab. Perhaps you can just wait to see when this T2 lab goes up, and you can reclaim your own lab and then send that metal to your co-oping teammate. So I hope this was a little illuminating. We'll be doing more of these videos in the future. I think we're going to take a look at some of the 4v4 tournament replays with our man Kuchi to look at how co-oping can look in those smaller team games, but it's still just as powerful, of course. and maybe more of like economic co-oping. There's other variations of it, but I really wanted to show like how powerful this T2 co-oping can be in these like poverty lane maps, so to speak. So hopefully this was illuminating for y'all. If you can, like the video, leave a comment. Is there anything else you want to see? And I'll be happy to produce that. So I'm gonna mute myself and just let this play out for a moment. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next cast.